Nicole here. Look what I'm drinking water out of. What is this? Some kind of graduated cylinder. Um, Tonight is just a water night because I didn't sleep last night at all. So, caveating this is that I didn't sleep last night. And so I'm really tired. And actually, this has been happening to me like on average once a week where I just don't sleep for one day. And then I'm awake for 48 hours. Well, not 48, but 30 or whatever. And then I go to bed. Anyway, so it happened again this week. It's like usually on a Wednesday, but anyways, last night I didn't sleep at all. So today is August 13th, 2022, and it's 7:49 p.m. right now. I feel like, again, this is gonna be another like kind of raw one, like sad. I don't want to be sad or anything, but I was talking to one of my family members about what I wanted for my future, and they said that they thought that they didn't say it so harshly, but they said that it was like a fairy tale, and that young women think that marriage is going to be this wonderful thing, and it's not, and the passion leaves, and I just like got me thinking, like, is what I want for myself so out of reach? And maybe I don't understand what it actually is to be married and to work through a relationship with someone. I mean, I've had a couple of long-term relationships, one that lasted 5 years, but that one ended with a pretty serious betrayal, actually. Um, he, I think, started cheating on me about probably year three into it, and I didn't know at all. I really didn't. And he graduated school before I did. He's a little bit older than me, and so he got a job, and he lived in a different city, and so he had an apartment in that city, and he'd come home to visit me every weekend. And that was like the last 2 years of our relationship, which I think is when he really started cheating on me, which I guess kind of makes sense because he's in a different city, and at that time in my life, I felt like I had two separate lives: my weekend life and my weekday life, which was university and my friends in university, and the weekend was his family and him. And I would say it was a pretty serious betrayal because it was his family and his mother who used to talk about us getting married. I never promised to get married to him, but then of course, like, once like the marriage talk started to happen into that relationship, it's like, oh yeah, this is the person I'm going to marry. But meanwhile, he I think he was just sleeping with a lot of different women in that other city, and I think that anyways, he ended up meeting somebody through an online service where they teach each other their corresponding languages. And he chose somebody's profile that had the same. My name is Nicole. Nicole here. I don't know if I said that. I think I might have forgot to say that. Nicole here. Hi, guys. I hope you're well. But anyways, back on it about betrayal. This is a betrayal themed one. Yeah, betrayal. Anyways, betrayal. He I felt really betrayed by him when I found out at the end. And actually, I broke up with him because I had kissed another person. And I just thought, well, like, this is so bad that I've kissed another guy, and I just didn't mean to. I didn't plan on it. It just happened. And so right away, I went home and I called him and I told him that we had to break up. And yeah, he told me that he was gonna have another woman come live with him, and she moved in with him 2 weeks after I broke up with him. And he told me that he just met her, and I knew that was a lie because no woman is going to move in with somebody that she doesn't know. He lived in a bachelor's apartment. So and then there were other things like I did get an STI from him one time. That's pretty damning evidence, and I guess I was naive. I mean, we were briefly broken up for 4 weeks in year four, and so he told me that that's when he picked up an STD from somebody else. and then passed it on to me later. And I, yeah, that was not nice, not a nice thing for young Nicole to go through. But really, the betrayal was, these are people that I grew up with, a lot of them. Like, he happened to be in the same community that I was in, of friends, who were all engineers, who were all older than me, who I spent from the ages of probably 10 to 25 really idolizing these people. I looked up to them. I admired them. They were cool. Like, when you're in grade 9, you're hanging out with someone in grade 12 and you're watching the Saw movie with a group of people who are all older than you, who are all very smart, who are all studying engineering in university. I mean, that was, yeah, like, of course I looked up to them. But then fast forward to me at 24, that's when I found out that he was cheating on me. And anyways, the relationship ended. And not because of that, but because of, I guess, my own mini betrayal, really. Um, but the reaction that his friends and family had to him right away having a new woman in his life, who he did marry shortly after, like maybe a year after that, and then they moved to another country together and had a kid. And um, he actually always wanted to move to that country, so um, I think that really played a part in who he chose to be with. um, he was just the type of guy who I think he really wanted to have somebody who was dependent on him, who he could easily, I mean, control sounds like a negative word, but I was in high school when I started dating him, and he was in university. And I remember rushing home to get out of my high school uniform because I didn't want to remind him that I was 5 years younger than him, which is not the biggest age gap, honestly. I guess at the time it was, but um, yeah, so his family and all those friends that I had known long before I knew him, their reaction to him was like, "Oh, well, it's okay because look at Nicole is with somebody else, and I was with somebody else because I needed somewhere to sleep at night because I just couldn't afford to live anywhere at that time. I was taking a year off of university to work as a student engineer, and I had bought a car, and I couldn't afford rent and the car, and so I really needed somewhere to live. Oh, also, how we ended up breaking up too is right before we broke up, he got like maybe 5 months in. He 5 months prior to me moving in with him, it was his idea. He really wanted me to move in with him. He was so excited. He talked about cooking healthy meals with me every night. Anyway, so I moved in with him, which I wasn't actually like so sure about at first, but he was so excited. Then he like just completely ignored me and stayed out until like 3 a.m. every night, even though it was a work night. And he yelled at me when I forgot to turn over the laundry. And one time I left a wooden cutting board in the sink in water submerged, and he yelled at me a lot for that. And then he yelled at me a lot for when we were living together, which lasted 2 weeks. So I'm glad that I didn't end up marrying him. But the way these things go, like, I fell in love with him for a reason. It was intellectually, like, we were intellectually matched. Oh, okay. Sorry. I'm going deeper into the past than I thought. Betrayal. Yeah, like, I don't know. I felt betrayed by that community because they really just kind of like, you know, I mean, what can a mother do when her son is cheating on his girlfriend and like it was sometimes it was abusive, him and me, and I didn't know. I was just really young, and maybe I did start out naive, but I mean, if I come off naive now, I don't really think I actually am. I think that I've experienced a lot. I've experienced a lot of good things and a lot of bad things. And anyways, I'm thinking about betrayal because um, I don't know. As a woman, like, do you betray yourself when you go on a one night stand, or when you sleep with somebody who maybe you shouldn't sleep with because, I don't know, let me just give like a hypothetical scenario. What if what if you fall in love with someone but they don't fall back in love with you, or at least they don't tell you that? And um and then a lot of bad stuff happens, and then, fast forward 4 years, they're not in your life anymore at all. You haven't talked to them in a really long time, and even though you're not quite over it, you're trying your best to heal. You're really trying your very best to heal in this weird world that we live in right now. And and maybe you make mistakes, like maybe you just made a lot of mistakes, and in that healing journey. And I don't know, was last night a mistake? I in my hypothetical scenario, like, I don't know, what if one of his friends, or even somebody closer than that, comes and wants to sleep with you? Do you do it or do you not? Is it betrayal? But it's not betraying him because he's not in my life. It would be betraying myself. And if you're a woman and you decide that you want to go and have a one night stand, I don't actually think there's anything wrong with that, but it is dangerous. I mean, there's lots of different things that could happen, like mostly STDs or pregnancy, or, you something worse and darker, like getting hurt by a stranger. And um, all these things make it really difficult to try and understand relationships and sex. And what is sex supposed to look like for me? I know you can't answer that question, and I can't answer that question for you, but what is my sexual relationship supposed to look like in a world where I do feel very isolated, and I living at home with my parents, who my father is very traditional. Well, I'm 29 years old and I'm just as much an animal as you are. So it's like safer to sleep with people you know. But then you get this, and I don't actually care about what other people say about me and my reputation in those circles. But if you sleep around with people who are that are you that woman who makes her way through the friend group? And I don't I don't like that attitude, that that's something bad, but I can understand why people feel betrayed. And and anyways, I feel like I betrayed myself, and I hate that. I hate betrayal. I really do. And I don't think an eye for an eye, like, if someone betrays you, is it then fair for you to go and betray them? I don't think that's worth it. It's like a curse. Like, you can curse somebody, but a curse costs you. It costs you whatever the curse is. So if you curse somebody and you say, I curse you to never fall in love with another person ever again, you're going to have to pay the same cost. The curse goes out in two directions. So you also must never fall in love with another person again if you make that curse. And I think curses are not real in a way, but they are real in the sense that it's a thought and an idea that forms in your mind, so it impacts you. I remember crying when my ex-boyfriend had left me, and it was shortly after we broke up, and it was, I don't know, 2 a.m. somehow, 2 a.m. in downtown where I live, and the buses had stopped running, and he just left me there. No, the buses were still running. I caught the last bus, I remember. But I remember just feeling so abandoned by him. And like, when I go out on the town, I like to be with a man because I feel a lot safer than when I'm out by myself. And I don't know, like, I've been thinking a lot about men and women. Of course, I talk about that here. Like, what and marriage. And so going back to me feeling sad about the fairy tale stuff, like, my idea, like I mentioned in one of my previous videos, what I want for myself, I was pretty clear about not being in a dual income family and not being a single mother and having I do want a partner, you know. I want a partner who has the same values as me, who wants the same things that I want, and we enjoy the same activities, but it's not all like, I don't think I have this delusional, like, oh my God, happily ever after Cinderella style delusion. I think it's more like, I don't know what it would be like since I haven't done it yet. I haven't made my own family yet, so I don't know what it's going to be like. I don't think it's going to be easy at all, but I still think it's very valuable because for a woman who spends a lot of time sleeping alone, it starts to hurt. It starts to hurt my body. And I feel the tension and not being sure about my job and the world. And sometimes I do pray to God and I ask him to bring me home. I'm not suicidal or anything. I just have this urge, like, I really want to go home. Well, this is my home. In fact, this is the home I was raised in. It's as home as I've ever known. So this feeling is annoying to me, being frustrating, because I've prayed that prayer many times and I don't actually want to leave my family or anything. I'd bring them with me, but I want to go home. I want to go home. And the betrayal is just being betrayed by somebody that you love really hurts. And even though you can kind of realize over time that it has a lot more to do with what's going on with them and their life and their own journey and their healing, it still really hurts and it has injured me. And I asked, why do I make bad decisions when it comes to my dating life? Like, is it such a bad decision to decide to date, to have casual sex? But then the casual sex is just, is it such a bad idea when I have an animal instinct? My body is telling me to go have sex, and so, like, you know, I don't want to have casual sex with, like, I don't know if you've ever seen that movie Mrs. Dunbar. Okay, spoiler alert for that movie, Mrs. Dunbar. But a young woman, professional woman, has her own apartment, similar to what I had. I had my own apartment. I'm a boomerang child. I came back. But, you know, she ended up, like, she had a good job, a normal life, a beautiful woman. But at night, she would go to bars very regularly and pick up guys, a different guy every night kind of thing. Anyways, eventually she picks up a guy and brings her back to her place, and he turns out to be pretty crazy and has a lot of mental issues, and she doesn't know. How could you know, you know? And she gets murdered. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to always be so upset. I really don't. But I want to get these ideas out, and it's my art project, so I can do it whatever I want. I'm the creator after all. So anyways, she gets murdered, and I don't want to sleep with a different guy every night. Like, that to me confuses my body. I like when I sleep with a man, this is gonna be really intimate, but first let me say that, oh, this is getting really long. First let me say that when I sleep with a man, like, okay, wait, what I'm gonna say first is this. I really like men. I think that we live in a world where, like, men are just really, like, not treated well at all right now. I mean, women are treated well in lots of ways. Well, men are treated well in lots of other ways too. And I'm really sick of it. Okay, so let me say first that I really love men. I really love men a lot. I mean, this is why I cry so much. Because I can't express my love, like, adequately. Like, I don't know how to express my love in this. But I do really love men a lot. And, like, when I fall in love with a man and when I respect a man and I see him, and I love I love when men wear sandals and you can see their feet. I really love looking at their feet. It's not like a Quentin Tarantino thing. It's more just like, it makes me feel safe, and I like looking at their hands too. And of course, everything. And I like everything about men. I think when like this feminine energy mixes with masculine, it's like the masculine is giving something to the feminine, and she just like really, I don't know, she's so nurturing and he is so giving, and then it just really makes this beautiful circle. Um, and I want more of that. Of course, I want more of that. So, like, with sex, it's like that. It's a lot like that. Like, surrendering to something and having a really good time where you trust the person. And but like, for me, I don't have a committed relationship. It didn't happen for me. So how do I get this need met safely? How do I get this need met safely in my life? And my family tells me to stop wanting to get married at all. And they say things like, just focus completely on yourself. And I mean, that is what I do. Like, out of being you, I have focused completely on myself. I still date. I force myself to go on dates, hoping that something will click. But dating is exhausting. Meeting people I don't know is exhausting to me. And I'm an extrovert, ESFP for sure, but it is exhausting. And even an SE dom like me, I don't know. I'm getting older. It's not the same. I'm changing. Um, Not all ESFPs are. I love a good party, but I love being alone at a party more than anything. And it's exhausting meeting new people. It really is. At this stage in my life, I feel incredibly exhausted from it. And I try to take it seriously. I try to strategize or whatever. That didn't work exactly. Not yet, anyways. And I entirely expect one of you to fall in love with me. But yeah, I how do you, being 29, have been single for a long time, how do you go about having your sexual needs met? And I don't want to be in a relationship with a person that I don't actually want to be in a relationship with. So like if I have casual sex with a friend and it's a regular thing, well, that also confuses my mind and body and heart, right? And yeah, last night I didn't sleep at all. I just didn't go to sleep. In fact, I went out to a park and I had a pretty, I'm not going to say what I got up to, but you can rest assured that uh, I do sometimes crazy things. Not crazy. Like, I have my reasons. I know what I'm doing, but it definitely lives outside what other people would consider the norm or acceptable behavior, even though I know deeply that it's not unethical or bad. And anyways, I wish I could tell you exactly what I was up to and why I feel this way now, but rest assured, it really makes sense. About, I've touched on it. Maybe some of you could guess exactly what I'm talking about, since I did actually say it within this video. But it has to do with like betrayal, friend groups, being in love with somebody who from the past who could never really admit their feelings for you. And honestly, I'm not even entirely sure that he doesn't watch these. I think he does. I don't know for sure. So it's not, Tharving you isn't about that exactly, but if you're watching, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry about everything. Not everything was my fault, of course. You know that too. But I am really sorry regardless of everything that happened between us. Everything, I really am. And I wish I could express my love to you freely. I wish I could, but it just doesn't seem possible, and I think you know why it's not possible. And I have made mistakes since we last talked. I didn't mean to. I'm not a mean person. I have made mistakes. And I'm not proud of everything I did. You know, I think about Jesus Christ. I like to think about all these different characters. And Jesus Christ, I think Jesus Christ, you know, he came to this earth. Apparently, he didn't sin at all. Wow. Not only did Nicole come to this earth and sin, but actually, I enjoyed some of my sinning. And I just think about, like, how is it possible that somebody could not sin? That doesn't really make sense. In fact, me personally, I don't fully know about Jesus. I think that there are a lot of ideas, strongly held beliefs about that person. Here, I'm going to say something super sacrilegious. Maybe I'll lose subscribers. I don't know. But I feel like the people who have subscribed to me are maybe not more alike to me than I think. So, you know, when I think about Jesus, I think Jesus is the same soul as Hitler. That's what I think. I think Hitler was a very early version. You know, God is refining itself in some sense if you think of the human collective as God. And each of us make up the human collective, each of our souls. And if past lives exist, and let's just go with that, then, you know, you go through these iterations on Earth. And if that's all true, I really think that Hitler, in time isn't linear. It's not linear, you know, so not from a soul's perspective. So I really do think that Hitler was a very, very early version of Jesus Christ. There, I said it. I think that. If I'm wrong, what does it matter? Huh? What does it matter? You don't have to believe what I believe. You don't have to think what I think. It's worth thinking about. That's my point. It's worth thinking about. I don't mean to be mean to you or rude. I'm just making a point because I know that there will be people who really think I'm crazy and out there. You know what? Maybe I am crazy and out there. I think it takes a little bit of craziness to even do something like this. But I have my reasons. Everything that I do that you see as crazy, I don't know. Eventually I'll pull it together and it will become clear that it was the right thing to do. And but I still made mistakes, of course, along the way. We all do. I even think Jesus made mistakes. So, yeah. You know, you see God as perfect. Perfect doesn't even have a meaning. I don't even think perfect has a meaning here. So, you know, whether you're getting betrayed or you're betraying somebody else, I don't know, betrayal is so painful. And didn't Hitler betray his own country and the world? And now Jesus got betrayed by the world. And so whether it's me getting betrayed by somebody in the past in a really big, significant way to my heart, and I'm not talking about that first 5-year relationship either. Yeah, somebody betrayed me much worse than that one, and it has not let me go yet. I tell it to go. I say, let it go, Nicole. It just is not letting me go. It's not letting me go. And anyways, so that betrayal, you know, whether it's him betraying me or me betraying you, it's pain. There's pain there. Betrayal is something awful. Yeah. I don't have any jokes for this one at all. I'm very tired, but I really want to document this because this day, for me, August 13th, 8:18 p.m., is a significant moment for my life, and I'm documenting it. So, yeah. Like, I'm sorry for what I did, but I'm also not sorry because I needed to get my needs met. So I'm sorry, but I'm not sorry. And if I'm right and you do watch my videos, well, I didn't do all of this for you. I did it for myself. And it didn't start out about it, but I swear to God, there is some kind of psychic abilities. And sometimes these psychic things happen, and is it because I did a lot of psychedelics in my, especially like Joe Rogan was like, let me tell you one joke, okay, that I did think up. Not for this video, but in general. Joe Rogan, I heard him say, who is like the king of being basic. Joe Rogan is like, how the heck did he make being basic? Like he is like the most basic Like, but he does it so well. Like he's known for being basic. Anyways, I kind of like it. Like, I actually see that as a compliment that he could make that much money off of his basicness. Regardless, Joe Rogan said something about, oh, I vaped DMT like 3 times in one day and I was so off for a month. And I was like thinking to myself, like, maybe he was talking about Bufo. He might have been talking about Bufo. But I was thinking to myself, I was like, holy hell, I've been vaping DMT for hours a day, like for like the last 3 weeks. Like, I went through a period where I vaped a lot of DMT, a lot. Um, yeah, I went through a period in my life where I vaped a lot of DMT, and certainly saw a lot of different things, experienced a lot of different stuff. You know, there's something to it where, like, at first you don't really remember stuff, but you keep flooding your neurochemicals like that. You start being able to remember things, like remembering the trips themselves. So yeah, I remember a lot of it. And I'll tell you, there are a lot of different places that you can go and travel and blast off to. And there's a lot of references to it in art all the time. And I think that sometimes these things foreshadow like your fate or whatever. I don't know, fate, destiny, I don't know. Because I do think that I was fated to end up trying psychedelics in the way that I did, and in the quantity and the amount of time I spent there. Because I love the BFG, the Big Friendly Giant. And in the Big Friendly Giant, my favorite scene is when they start drinking this potion and they're blasting off. I mean, that is a huge psychedelic reference. So it showed up quite a bit in 90s television for me. And it was always my favorite things. And this was before I even knew drugs existed as a young child. So, yeah, was I talking about betrayal and how I think that there is some truth to being psychically connected to another person, and my intuition tells me that I'm not wrong, and maybe it tortures me, and then I'm like, my rational side is like, Nicole, are you really going crazy? Are you really going crazy here? And my intuition is like, no, you're not crazy. And what I make out of this is that basically I live in 2 different worlds at the same time. I think all of us do, but I just happen to be a little bit more aware of it than others. I live in the spiritual world and I live on Earth. I'm primarily on Earth. It seems to be the place that I'm attached to the most, probably because I have a body that has to breathe. But I'm definitely living in the spiritual realms very clearly. And in the spiritual realms, there's a lot going on. And I want to merge the 2, to integrate them. And I don't know how, because it bothers me that I can feel what another person feels and sometimes even kind of read their mind, even though they're not even around. And I feel that they sometimes take peeks into me too, taking peeks into my mind. And I'm like, am I wrong? Am I crazy? And then sometimes it does get validated in the 3D. And it's like, whoa, you knew that? How could you have known that? Like, good guess, whatever. And so, these symbols come from the spiritual realms and they manifest into the 3D, and you're like, well, I guess what's happening in the spiritual realms actually is happening. So it's like I have one foot in these spiritual realms and most of me is on Earth right now. And I'll tell you that it's confusing for me because I want to share my ideas and I want the truth to be told. I want the truth of my life and for the world. So just tell me your truth. And I'm sorry for what I did, even though really I did it not to hurt you, but to have my own needs met. Not that I owe you anything, because I don't owe you anything, and I know that. But I still didn't want to betray myself. And betraying myself with like honestly, it's a valid question to ask. It is a very, very valid question to ask. All my friends live with their parents. They're all pretty much around my age. What are you to do? Like, how are you going to get your sexual needs met? They're real needs. I think that it is impacting a lot of different people right now on this planet, especially in North America. And I know if I had grown up in a really religious household, I'd probably already be married and not having to deal with this right now. But guess what? I don't believe in Jesus, okay? I'm not a Muslim. I don't belong to any religion. So, yeah, I didn't get the free ride of a made-to-do husband that, like, which honestly I don't want that anyways. Okay, I would have never wanted that because I don't want my freedom to be taken away at all. I want to do what I want to do, and I want to do it where I want to do it and when I want to do it. And I think that's fair. Am I a little bit selfish? Well, I don't even think it's that bad to be a little bit selfish. You probably should be selfish, as long as you don't hurt anyone else in the meantime. It's just easier said than done. Yeah, so betrayal is just like, betrayal as a theme is happening right now for me. And I'm sorry. I'm sorry. If you do hear me, and even if you don't, it's still the human collective. I'm sorry that my love turned ugly in some way. It seems to me that my love turned ugly. And as an artist, I always want my art to be what I want it to be, or to be channeled. Well, a lot of my art's channeled, so I don't even know. Art is something, I'll talk about that later, about art and channeling things that are coming from spiritual realms. But, you know, whether it's like, it's my life, it's my art. My whole life is my art, my greatest masterpiece. And sometimes it upsets me greatly when there's imagine a big smudge that's not supposed to be there. It would upset me and it has to be fixed, and I don't want it to look like that. I don't want my love to be ugly. I don't want my love to be ugly. I hope somebody can understand. Anyways, this is me. Yeah, this is me. And see the third eye? Yeah. It's not done yet. Well, it's almost done. It's very close to being done. But I like to give pieces like this time to discover who they want to be. And so right now this piece is still discovering who it wants to be. And this one has been on hold for a while. I think it's telling me that it wants to be completed. All I have to do is make my hair orange. And maybe make more of a defined shape. You can't see it that well, but on their shoulders. Yeah. I don't want my love to be ugly. Ugly love. It's just not what I want. So it's like if it's a pencil crayon color, it's not the color I want to use right now. So yeah. I don't know if that makes sense, but I don't want my love to be ugly. I really don't want my love to be ugly. All right. I feel better. You know, one thing about making these videos is that when I get it out, it does make me feel better. Yeah, which is a theme to betrayal, because one of the main things that really went wrong with that relationship for me on my end was that I couldn't express how I felt. It was definitely a situationship. He's done that many times with other people, which upsets me. And it has a lot more to do with him and what's going on in his life. But me, at that age, what was I, 24, 25? Like, I didn't know that, you know? I thought that I was boring to you. I just thought that I was a boring person, and that's how you saw me, as a nuisance. And you told me you weren't feeling it. Well, maybe you weren't feeling it, but man, oh man, talk about being on very separate pages, because I'm definitely feeling something. I don't want my love to be ugly. I can't stand that. I can't withstand that. Oh, and also, one last thing, for people who get this far. Past lives. This is a different topic, but it kind of does connect. Okay, so past lives. I have a past life confession. I don't actually think I'm Hitler from past life. I don't I doubt it. I seriously doubt that. I think that the fact that I had a Hitler mushroom trip where I felt what it was like to be Hitler giving a speech, and I felt as though I was high on methamphetamines, which, he was high on methamphetamines, which, by the way, methamphetamines really don't mix with politics. We really know that. Thank you, Hitler. We know that for sure. But, anyways, I felt what it was like to be there giving the speech. I think the fact that I could tap into that energy really, number one, the interpretation of the trip is far more important than what reality would have you say about it, like what's living in your subconscious or whatever. The interpretation that you make of it is more important in real time. And my interpretation of that mushroom trip was that I really understand power. Okay, I understand that it can be super intoxicating. I understand that I have an appetite for power myself, and I understand the ways in which power can be used. And power can be used to do absolutely anything at all, anything you want. If you had enough power, you could grow a tree from your hand. Okay, but I can't harness that kind of power in a human body. So, but basically, power can be used to do anything, good, the bad, the ugly. So, yeah, it's actually, I don't know, I find it harder to harness power for the good. And, it's far harder to create than it is to destroy. Destroying takes a second, creating takes forever. So, yeah, that's important to remember. And what was I going to say about past lives? Oh, past lives. I think, honestly, that there is something to karma and having these cycles repeat from past lives, because I remember getting like an intuitive hit when he mentioned about suicide, and I do think, and then I did an ayahuasca trip years later, and I saw myself. It's dark. It's a dark one. Okay, it was a scary trip, probably one of the worst things I've seen. It was awful. But anyways, I was on an ayahuasca spiritual journey, and I saw myself killing a baby. I was drowning a baby, and I was really upset. I could feel that this version of me was incredibly upset and really disillusioned, and like my thoughts and everything just twisted and warped completely to a point where it's like I can't recognize anything anymore. And so I looked at that, and I really felt like some kind of feeling, like some kind of deep feeling that I do, like, I don't have language for, so I'll call it a past life. And I do think that that's somehow connected to what happened with betrayal in my life and suicide. I think that if a past life version of me drowned a baby, I know it's really dark, I know it's so dark, I'm sorry, but women who do that, they're sick. Like, there can be space held for empathy for that. It is not just evil. Evil doesn't exist like that. That's not evil. Evil isn't like that. I don't really even think evil exists. I don't know. But it was, the act in itself is evil, sure, but people aren't evil. And so you can hold empathy for women who commit crimes like that, because there's something really going wrong within them. And I don't think it's their fault. So, yeah. Anyways, I saw myself drowning a baby. It was awful. And then I killed myself when I realized what I had done. And I do feel like, was that just... Anyone on psychedelics can make an argument that none of it's real, and it's just your mind kind of like... Right? Well, I've experienced it myself, and I'm allowed to make my own interpretations of what it is. I say some of it is real. And that felt very, very real to me. So, and when he mentioned about when Hoff's wife committed suicide and left him with the children, I could see like this pain in his eyes, and I got an intuitive hit, and then with the knowledge of like that other ayahuasca experience, and just... yeah, like it was something that is dark and heavy, but I don't know, I can withstand heavy things pretty, like, I don't know, I always could. And Anyways, what the shaman said, the shaman was helpful in that moment because I cried and I told her, am I being punished? Is like, did I do something really evil and now I'm being punished? And like, am I evil? And she just said in a really calm way, that's not who you are now. That's not who you are now. Right. And Ram Dass, be here, be now. I do think that the present moment is the most important thing right now. All right. So a heavy one. Maybe I should. I'll put a trigger warning in the caption since I didn't start off with a trigger warning, but I'll put in capitals that I touch on suicide and like it's gonna sound so evil, but suicide and yeah, basically that's it. Like I don't know, cheating is not really trigger warning worthy, but yeah. So okay. It's a dark one for sure, but yeah, like not sleeping. It's not that I have racing thoughts. I don't have racing thoughts. My insomnia, it does not seem to be connected to anything I'm doing. I think it just happens. Like it just happens sometimes, and I can't go to sleep. Although last night it was more than just insomnia. There's other things going on too that kept me from sleeping. But I'm sorry. If you see this, then you'll know that I'm sorry, and I didn't do it to hurt you. I mean, I didn't do anything wrong at all. Hope I didn't incriminate myself. I mean, is it possible to incriminate yourself on? I mean, I didn't even do anything illegal. In the last 48 hours, I've done nothing illegal at all. So, but from an ethical standpoint, no, I didn't do anything unethical either, actually. But from a morality standpoint, I don't know. You know, there's this weird thing in psychology that if someone makes you feel a certain way, whether you do it purposefully or unconsciously, you will do things that'll make them feel the same way. So it's mirrored, right? And this is like some kind of spiritual law that plays out in our psyches. So yeah. And like, didn't Alan Watts say like relax because nothing you do is like really what you're like, you're not really in control, which I think is convenient. Like you could be like, nothing's my fault. But there is some level of truth to that, I think, because I really do believe that everything I say, everything I do, everything I feel, and everything I think is all a necessary part of my own unfolding, right? Like I'm this work of art and so are you, and we all are unfolding, and so is the universe. And it's like this fractal of continual unfolding, right? And so as you unfold, you sort of show more of yourself, and it's not necessarily deeper, but it's just more, and you're just continually unfolding. I don't know if there's a grand direction. We talk about ascending and like 5D spirits being able to come to Earth and like we're all supposed to ascend. I don't know about that. Okay, I just know that we are unfolding. Whether we're going in a certain direction, I don't know. It's comforting to think we are, but yeah, it's a continual unfolding, and everything that you do, everything you think, everything you feel, everything you say is all a necessary part of your own unfolding. And when you kind of think like that, it helps to just breathe and accept things, not the suffering. I don't accept the suffering. I don't accept my own unethical behavior or breaking my own values, but I can accept the universe as it is, because everything that's happening is all part of the universe. So and when you think of God as the universe, then you're like, God is much more complicated than just being a perfect, benevolent being. I certainly think that those things exist and are part of God, but God is also the evil and the suffering that exist as well. So yeah, he is. And I don't know, there's some grand lesson maybe in that, but I don't know. All right. Peace out, Girl Scout. Thank you for listening. Trigger warning on this one. Okay, thanks. Bye.